Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message
On the book of Romans.
with Brady Randall.
Well, Paul continues his discussion on the nature of the law, and here's what we read in verses 7 to 12 of chapter 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. For I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, "You shall not covet." But sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, produced in me every kind of coveting. For apart from the law, sin was dead. Once I was alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin sprang to life and I died. I found that the very commandment that was intended to bring life actually brought death. For sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, deceived me, and through the commandment put me to death. So then the law is holy, and the commandment is holy, righteous, and good. Paul says, make no mistake about it, the law is not sinful. And many people have that idea. God, all of his laws, his commands, that God is a cosmic killjoy. But the law rather shows our need for Christ. And the law shows our inability to keep it. Paul says, I wouldn't have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, you shall not covet. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those experiments that they've done with little kids. They put them in a room with candy or their favorite candy or marshmallows. And they say there's only one rule. You only have to be in here a few minutes, but there's one thing you can't do. Just one rule. And the one rule is that you cannot eat the chocolate or the candy or the marshmallows that are sitting out. And it's really funny because the camera catches the kids in the act. And some of them, as soon as the parent or the adult walks out the room, the first thing they do is they just chow in. And for some of them, it's a real struggle. You see them, they're almost sitting on their hands. They're going back and forth. And yet inevitably they go and they take the candy. They longingly look at it. And it's almost like they can't help themselves. They take the candy. And so what do? They dig in. Now, the rule was not bad. The rule was, while I'm out of the room, don't eat the candy. But the rule, the law as it was, showed the kids what most of them had the ability to not do. The law, the rule, showed that these kids couldn't keep it. They didn't have the willpower to actually keep it. It's not that the law is bad. The law highlights our sin in need for a Savior. The commandment, the very commandment that was intended to bring life, brought death. Sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, deceived me, and through the commandment put me to death, Paul says. So sin itself is the real killer, not the law. The law is basically like looking into a mirror. If you look in the mirror in the morning and you see that your hair is out of place, maybe you see if you're a woman, you have makeup on from the night before, maybe you see some nose hairs that are getting longer and longer coming out of your nose. The law, the mirror as it were, it reveals what is true of us. You're not the way you want to look maybe in the morning. But the mirror itself cannot fix those things. You don't take the mirror off the wall and begin to scrape the dirt and makeup off of your face. You don't use the mirror to cut nose hairs out of your nose. The mirror shows you what's wrong. The law itself, Paul says, is holy, which means set apart. And I think that's because God's law reflects God's heart, his character, and ultimately our need for Christ. Just for example, take some of the commandments out of the 10 Commandments. Do not lie, do not murder, do not commit adultery. Why? Well, these commands actually flow from the very heart and character of God, that God is not a liar. He is a truth teller. He is the way, he is the truth and the life. And when he says do not murder, it reflects his heart that every person was created in the image and likeness of God, and to murder is to cut that life short. That's not the heart of God. When he says, do not commit adultery, why? Well, God's heart is pure. His desire is that his people would reflect his purity, his devotion to his church, and adultery breaks that one flesh union, damaging lives forever. God's laws, his rules are for our good, and they're pure. But it's sin itself that leads to death. But the law is holy, the commandment is holy, righteous, and good. And more than anything else, the law points to our desperate need for a Savior, which is what we'll look at as we conclude tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.